Hi, and welcome back to Beans and Bezels. Sablier is an American microbrand that has developed an identity of designing luxury watches for wine enthusiasts. I heard of this brand a while ago, but always overlooked them because I assumed these were watches for serious wine enthusiasts, and I had no business being interested in them since my idea of a great glass of wine came from a $10 bottle. Okay, sometimes from a carton too, but don't judge me and my student budget. I got interested in this brand again recently and did a little more digging, only to find that these watches might be more than just for wine enthusiasts, and there's some pretty cool design and engineering going on behind the scenes, enough to make it a watch enthusiast watch too. These watches don't come cheap, and the Sablier Grand Cru 44 that I'm reviewing today retails at just under 2,800 US dollars. But let's check it out. This is the 44mm Grand Cru and has a 44mm diameter, 52mm lug to lug width, and 12mm tall case. The case is entirely polished and has a unique case design that looks like a wine glass in its side profile. I really like the subtle nod to its wine based origins. The lugs are quite thick and don't curve down much, but they aren't too long, so this doesn't have any negative effect on comfort. There is a short crown at the 2 o'clock position that is fairly easy to grip and operate. The crown top is concave and matches the concave crystal and dial nicely. I was surprised to see that the crown has a double gasket design and screws into the case. This crown seems to have taken a beating during its travels though. There's a very thin bezel surface that is polished, but life had other plans because it is almost entirely brushed with scratches now. Flipping it over, you have a screwed in case back with a small exhibition window. The case back is perfectly flat, which is great for comfort. What confuses me is that the watch has a screw down crown, a screw down case back, but is only rated for up to 50 meters of water resistance. I'm not sure which feature is the weak link here, the crystal or the case back. I don't usually spend too much time on watch crystals, but it would be a crime not to do so here. Sablier has a registered US patent for the world's first and only concave crystal. I briefly looked at the patent documents and it appears that this is in the context of wristwatches and also includes their very neat concave dial. The benefits here are better visibility in the form of wider range of viewing angles, fewer reflections, and just a much clearer dial viewing experience given the proximity to the dial surface. Oh, and it looks pretty swanky too. I think it's fair to assume that a large portion of the $2,800 retail price is because of this and all the costs associated with R&D and manufacturing of these unorthodox crystal shapes. But if you're after something out of the ordinary, this is definitely worth considering. The dial on this watch is beautiful. I'm so glad they sent me their wine red dial option because it fits the theme perfectly. The base of this dial appears to be some sort of radial burst and the finishing is excellent. The dial is concave too, and you have a curved outer chapter ring with loom dots for hour markers and Arabic numerals for every fifth minute marker. The rest of the minute markers are white ticks. Impressive legibility, excellent finishing, and no complaints here whatsoever. You then have stainless steel hour indices that also curve up ever so slightly. The finishing on these is great. There is a date window at the 4:30 position with a white date wheel and black font. I would have preferred a more symmetric layout, but a color matched date wheel would have been sufficient here. You have an interesting handset with rectangular hour and minute hands. The hour hand is loomed, but the minute and seconds hands are not. The seconds hand extends all the way over the minute markers, and I absolutely love this. Reading the time on this watch is so effortless and such a pleasure. The tip of the hand is in the form of a corkscrew, which is pretty cool. The minute and seconds hands are slightly curved to match the concave dial, and this is very nice to look at. When you consider the amount of effort that went into making this dial possible, the high price tag doesn't seem so unreasonable. And the fact that the finishing and quality control is good makes this even more easy to come to terms with. The dial is loomed, which I wouldn't typically expect from a watch like this, and they appear to have used the top grade Superluminova. While I do give them credit for attempting to loom the dial, I think the loom design and layout leaves room for improvement. Only the hour hand and outer hour indices are loomed. Since the corkscrew second hand is white, I think it would have looked incredible if it were fully or even partially loomed. This watch uses an ETA 2892A2 movement. You will find this on a lot of high-end watches like IWC and Breitling, so no problems with the selection for the price of the watch. I do think they dropped the ball on the rotor decoration though. For the price of $2,800, I'd want a very good looking movement or a closed case back. The movement looks good, but the rotor is too simple and just has the brand's name printed on the rotor in black. Aesthetics aside, this movement held up quite nicely during my time with it. Over a 3-day period, it logged roughly 4 seconds per day, and this watch appears to have been used and abused, so these are all good numbers. This is the 44mm diameter case, so it appears pretty large on my modest 6¼ inch wrist. I'm glad they introduced a 39mm case too, because I think that would work perfectly for small and medium sized wrists. The case back doesn't protrude, so most of the weight is balanced well. The case height is only 12mm, so it's actually proportioned quite nicely. You can pick from 3 strap options, but let's be honest, the cork strap is clearly the winner here. I like this watch and I think there's a lot of very interesting and intricate work on the dial. The attention to detail and quality control is very good. That said, in my opinion, this watch appears to have a very specific target market. This watch seems particularly targeted to someone who is passionate about wine, has a great interest in watches, but is mostly looking for a very cool conversation piece to wear socially. This isn't a watch I could wear every day, but is one that would play very nicely in a larger collection because you're not going to find anything else like it. You all know how much I enjoy innovation in watch design, so it should come as no surprise that I love the concave crystal. I would love to see a watch that was more widely appealing with the same crystal and the same eye for design and attention to detail, because they clearly know how to make a good watch. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to check out my full review in the link below.